Listen up. It's time to pay attention to the weather again. We've got some big time severe weather on the way. We've got some stuff going on in the tropics and a little bit of a heat wave to talk about here. We're just chock full of information today. So that's what we're going to dive into right now. First of all, you can very clearly see the pattern that we're in here on satellite. We've got this trough trying to dig down into the Great Lakes region, bringing some colder air from Canada down. And we've just got a lot of warm air building up in the central and western portion of the US. This boundary right here between the cooler and the warmer air is sparking thunderstorms, even right now as I film this video, in the northern plains over into the upper Midwest. And this is going to continue to happen throughout the day and throughout the week. Over the next 7 days, this is the hot spot right here where we expect to see the most precipitation outside of Florida, which we're going to talk a lot about that today. A little bit of a tropical system trying to set up down there. Very interesting stuff, but everywhere in between, pretty dry. We might not get a drop of rain over here in Nevada over the next 7 days, and quite dry as well down here through the mid-Mississippi River Valley, the Red River Valley, over into portions of the Appalachian Mountains, especially on the southern side as well. That pattern I just showed you in the jet stream where we had a ridge in the west and a trough in the east is about to flip, and we do expect for the next 6 to 10 days we're going to have a major pattern flip, and this is going to bring about a little bit of a heat wave, our first big heat surge of the year for people especially east of the Mississippi River. So this is going to be a big time change in our weather pattern that's going to be happening here. And as that change happens, the disturbance between warm air clashing against cool air is going to lead to several rounds of severe weather. First one starts today where we have an enhanced risk up here in Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin. This is mostly driven by hail, okay? We do expect to see some big hailstones today up there, even up into Canada as well. But there is also a little bit of a tornado threat, 5% probability there in the Brown area of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of any given point, which is not a small chance given usually your chance is 0, but certainly not the main threat today. But definitely be aware and make sure you know what you're going to do if that tornado warning does come through. Tomorrow, severe weather shifts to the south a little bit as that northwest flow sets up and the trough kind of tries to move off to the east just a tiny little bit. This will be more of a linear system, a line of storms moving down through Chicago, Detroit, down into Kansas City even. Main threats here are going to be wind, I think, but we cannot rule out a tornado or two. Severe weather train does not stop there. Friday, June 14th, we've got a slight risk over here in Nebraska, and the remnants of that line of storms that's going to be moving through the Midwest tomorrow is going to be moving into the interior Northeast, up into New England as we go into late in the day on Thursday into Friday as well. So get ready for some severe weather from Boston back through New York City, maybe even into northern portions of New Jersey, Philadelphia, and back towards more southeastern portions of Pennsylvania. And we even have another day 4 slight risk for Monday, June 17th, as another round is going to start up here in Minnesota and then once again travel down that trough as it ejects off to the east. So here's what the radar could look like over the next couple of days or so. Starting today around 3 p.m., we are going to see some big time storms starting to really get their acts together here in portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Once again, big hail, that's going to be the main threat with these. And as we go later into the day, I think probably around 6 or 7 p.m. especially, new supercells are going to start forming over here, especially in northern Minnesota. There could be a big storm anywhere between Duluth and Thief River Falls and Grand Forks and anywhere in between, and especially north and east. And any of these storms are going to have the very real possibility and capability of producing large hail. Look at that. We could be talking about some big time hail today up here in portions of Canada, Minnesota, maybe even into the UP of Michigan and a little bit of northwestern Wisconsin today. A little bit of a tornado threat too, especially as the sun starts to set and we get that lower level jet increasing. But around that same time when the sun is setting, these storms are going to form more of a linear line or a multicellular or cluster formation, and the tornado threat is going to go down at that point. And our main concern is going to continue to be just wind and hail and rain, especially as we go into the early morning hours. Tomorrow about 3 a.m., this is just going to be a big wind bag, and it's not going to be much of a severe weather threat at all as it moves into into northern portions of the Oven Mitt of Michigan and down towards Madison. But watch what happens as I zoom out here and we go into the heating of the day. Tomorrow, that boundary that's left behind from those storms is going to spark some even bigger storms tomorrow over here near Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, over towards Chicago. These are once again going to be capable of producing some very large hail, maybe a tornado or two, but as we go later into the evening and the afternoon hours, even as we go into the early morning hours, I think on Friday, we're going to be talking about mostly a damaging wind threat, probably completely dying out by the time it gets to Cincinnati, but still everywhere in here needs to be watching out for those large hailstones and some strong damaging winds. So here's kind of a zoomed out view of the progression over the next couple of days. Notice all of our storms up there in the north and down into the Midwest, but also look at the constant recurring nature of these thunderstorms down there in Florida. This is going to be a crazy tropical rain event from Tampa down towards Miami. We're already seeing some flash flooding down there and more is expected. And also, if you pay close attention here, this is spinning. This is a broad area of low pressure that's about to kind of make landfall in Florida here over the next little bit. And I'm not the only one seeing the tropical nature to this system down here. The National Hurricane Center actually has labeled this as an invest, meaning that we're just getting more data on it. There's only a 10% chance that this forms into anything tropical, like a tropical storm or a depression or anything like that. But still, it's interesting that this is being watched by the National Hurricane Center. The main threats with it right now is definitely just going to be the rain. Okay, it's going to rain copious amounts over the next several days in Florida. We expect some places to get 10 inches of rain or more. Could be some big time flash flooding problems associated with that. We'll keep an eye on this though, and if anything kind of picks up in the tropical realm, we will let you know. From there though, it's just watching the jet stream. Okay, this big jet streak here is what's responsible for our recurring severe weather over the next couple of days as we get storms that form up here, slide down the jet stream, and then exit the country over towards the east coast. Everyone underneath is going to be mostly warm and dry. However, notice that little trough down here near California. Watch how it tries to sneak over the Rocky Mountains and actually remain a little bit of a closed system here as we go into the early portion of next week. This could actually cause some stronger thunderstorms out in front of it, but this is going to be the mechanism that actually changes our weather pattern. Notice how you're already seeing more of a trough, a lowering in the jet stream over here in the west, and a larger ridge forming over here in the east. This is when things really start setting up for our little heat wave that we're going to be having here as we go into next week. Look at this huge ridge over here. Lots of warm air moving up into the central and eastern portions of the United States, and then some much cooler air dipping down into the western portions. All right, so this is going to bring forth a little bit of quiet period once again of weather, especially for places like Oklahoma, Arkansas, over into the Carolinas. But things are going to get hot over here as this ridge is really going to stick around for quite some time. The impacts that this will have on our weather is going to be quite evident here. You can see right now we're quite below average in a lot of the eastern U.S. If you go just a little bit into the future though, you can see how the above average temperature anomalies are more present in the central and eastern U.S. as we get into Monday. Things really kind of get warm in the northeast as we go into Wednesday. Look at this, maybe 34 to 40 degrees above average in Maine on Wednesday, June 19th. That would definitely be classified as a little regional heat wave there. So things are changing big time as we go into the future here, where we're going to be cooler in the west, warmer in the east. And that sets the stage for what's going to happen next. And it's either going to be a tropical system because the ridge in the east kind of stays in place and allows for some sort of organization in the Gulf of Mexico, or another severe weather situation because the cool air that builds up in the west is eventually going to kind of rocket towards the east and push all the warm air that's been building up out of the way. One of those two things is going to happen. It's just life. It's the way weather works here in the United States. I don't know which one it's going to be yet, but of course I will let you know as soon as I do. In the meantime, let's just make sure we're weather aware up here in these severe weather zones over the next couple of days, and get ready for the heat coming next week if you're in the east or around the Great Lakes, and get ready for all of that rain down in Florida. It'll be a couple of days, but I will have another video for you very soon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Ooh.